This is Art Television.
My homage to the gem of the Supreme Buddha. The Buddha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Dhamma. The Dhamma is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Sangha. The Sangha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. The Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Samanta cakkavalesu atra gacchantu devata. Saddhammang munirajas sunantu saggamokkhadang. Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta. Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta. Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta. May all divine beings arrive here to listen to sublime Dhamma expounded by the fully enlightened one. Meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, you all have got the opportunity to listen to sublime Dhamma expounded by the supremely enlightened one. Very rarely we get the opportunity to listen to Supreme Buddha's teachings. Today, as this Poya Day is the greatest Poya Day for Sri Lankans, especially Sri Lankan Buddhists, we have to commemorate the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thero. Therefore, first and foremost, Arahat Mahinda Thero is our Supreme Buddha's one of the greatest disciples. Especially the appearance of the Buddhas is the greatest happiness to the world. So we have to respect to the Supreme Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Honor to the Supreme Buddha, the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened one. Secondly, we have to venerate, we have to respect, we have to give our main kind of veneration to Arahat Mahinda Thero, who brought Buddhism to Sri Lanka. Therefore, my great veneration to Arahat Mahinda Thero. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, we know after 218 years of the passing away of the Supreme Buddha, the third Buddhist council took place. Especially at that time, the Emperor Asoka was ruling India. Earlier on, he was called Chandashok, as he was very cruel and he wanted to wage war against other countries and bring India under one canopy by defeating other states with waging wars. But later on he understood that is a cruel thing and unkindful thing, and that is not the proper way to capture countries. Therefore, having embraced Buddhism, he thought it would be much better to especially spread Buddhism to other countries and embrace, especially let them embrace Buddhism and bring the entire India under one flag with Buddhism. Therefore, he became a Buddhist king and he became just king. That is why he was called Dharma Asoka. So Chanda Ashoka changed to Dharma Asoka. That was a magnificent historical occasion in our Sasana history of Sambuddha Sasana. Because of that, so many countries today got Buddhism, especially Sri Lanka. So at that time this was called Tambapanni. So there were some other countries, at that time they were named in different names: Mahisa Mandala, Yonaka Desi, Aparanta, Kashmir, Gandhara, Maharatta, Himavanta, Swarnabhumi, Vanavasi, like that. Today those names are different: Thailand, Burma, and sometimes some parts of Iranian area, or various parts of the world. Those countries got Buddhism due to Third Buddhist Council. After the Second Buddhist Council, which took place after passing away of the Supreme Buddha 100 years later, and those Arahants at that time found that with their psychic powers and Dibba Chakku, divine eye, in the future, after 118 years later, there will be some kind of decline in our Sambuddha Sasana. So, in order to protect our, and in order to give some kind of especially renovation and especially establishment of the Sambuddha Sasana once again to a proper position could be done by one particular Brahma who is in the Brahma world, namely Tissa Brahma. Therefore, Arahants went to the Brahma world and invited Tissa Brahma to be born in the human world and protect Sambuddha Sasana. And at that time, we can remember after the first Buddhist Council, the second Buddhist Council took place, and after second Buddhist Council, there were two parts like Mahasangika and Istaviravada. So Istaviravada represented the Supreme Buddha's teachings, and other party did not accept that particular views, especially doctrine. Therefore, they called themselves Mahasangika, and they had different council, and finally it was broken away into various parts. When it comes to 200 years, within 200 years, the Sambuddha Sasana, the bhikkhus, were divided into around approximately 18 sectors. Apart from Theravada, there were 17 other sects. So finally, after these variations and these haphazard situations, some Theravada Maharahats or Arahants were there who dedicated their lives for the re-establishment and especially protection, prolongation of Sambuddha Sasana. Out of those Arahants, there were two Arahants called Chandavajji Arahants, Arahant Chandavajji and Arahant Siggava. So those two Arahants were asked by other main Arahants after the second Buddhist council to take into account this Tissa Brahma's appearance in the human world and looking after him, making his ordination and teaching him the real Buddhism and so on and so forth. And they actually did that in a grand manner, especially Siggava, Arahant Siggava went on alms to Tissa Brahma's, Moggali Brahmana's house. Now Tissa Brahma was born in Moggali Brahmana's house. Therefore he went there for alms 7 years, not having any lump of food. But one day somebody told him just to go away from the place. While he was on the way, he met Moggali Brahmana, and Moggali Brahmana asked whether, did you get anything from our house? Then he said yes and went away. Then he came and with fury asked who gave anything to that particular Sramana. Then they said, we gave nothing. Then he was curious and he wanted to check whether what was, he wanted to especially scold the Siggava, Arahant Siggava for telling lies. So he said, I would catch him next day, and when Arahant Siggava came to the Moggali Brahmana's house for alms, he asked, did Sramana, you told me lies yesterday? Then he said, no, I did not tell lies, because for 7 years I was not given a word from your family, but yesterday somebody told me go away from here. So that's why I said I got something from your family. Then this Moggali Brahmana was happy about this, and he actually was fascinated about Arahant Siggava, and then he invited him to the house and offered alms, which was prepared for Moggali Brahmana. From that day onwards, he came to this, invited to come for alms to the house. Now, Tissa Brahma is a young age, and he was now 16 years old. By that time, one day Siggava Brahmana, Arahant Siggava, actually wanted to make him a Buddhist monk and make the arrangements, and finally he wanted to be a Buddhist monk to study some mantras from Buddhism. He asked, do you know mantras? Then Arahant Siggava said, yes, we have mantras. Then please teach me those mantras, he asked. Then he said, we don't teach just to lay people. If you become a Buddhist monk, we will teach you. Then he agreed to be a Buddhist monk in order to learn those mantras from Buddhism. Actually, mantras in the sense those stanzas. Now that is some lengthy story I am explaining to you in short. Therefore, finally he became a Buddhist monk, and Arahant Chandavajji let him know about Supreme Buddha's teachings, and finally he became a very, very wise Buddhist monk and became an Arahant, namely Moggali Putta Tissa Tero. Moggali Putta Tissa Tero. So he is a major character in this period for the establishment of Buddhism and spread of Buddhism to various countries and to the world. So in Third Buddhist Council and in spreading Buddhism to the world, we have to remember these 4 names, especially Arahant Mahinda Tero and Moggali Putta Tissa Mahatero and Emperor Asoka and King Devanampiya Tissa. These 4 names are historical names, and we have to remember always, especially this period of Foson. On this Foson Poya Day, we have to remember all these four names. And fortunately, all these four are now, they have attained Nibbana. Emperor Asoka, he has attained Nibbana, and King Devanampiyatissa attained Nibbana, and other two Arahants. Therefore, all of them could taste the sweet Dhamma and finally achieve the goal. So we also must try to achieve the goal of Nibbana, the supreme bliss of Nibbana. That is the main thing that we have to achieve. We can achieve various other things like fame and money and education, popularity, and all these things, but they are impermanent things. So what is the permanent thing is spiritual attainments, especially Nibbana. So if we attain Nibbana, then we can overcome this suffering. So still we are suffering. Even though we have happiness in time to time, sometimes we are happy about some kind of great victory of our children or victory of the country, and various things we are happy, but for sort of a very, very short period of time. Once again we have to suffer. Therefore these things are temporary things, and always what is discernible is what is called impermanence, suffering and unsatisfactoriness, anicca, dukkha, anatta. And we have to always encounter jati, birth, jara, decay, vyadhi, sickness, marana, death. So these are the things which are operating in the world, but those are undercurrent. But we want to neglect those things. We overlook all that, and we generally pay attention on material things like money, education, fame, popularity, beauty, and all that. Therefore always the reality is far away from us. Reality is far away from us. Reality is taught to us by Supreme Buddha's teachings. So Supreme Buddhas are born to this world in order to teach us reality. So our Gautama Buddhas, that great philosophy or great teaching came to this country because of Arahat Mahinda Thero. Because Arahat Mahinda Thero on Poson Poya Day, with the blessings of Arahat Moggali Puttathissa Thero, came to Sri Lanka with another retinue, Ittiya Uttiya Sambala Baddasala, Samanera Sumana and Upasaka Banduka, when King Devanampiyatissa was ruling the country. And after 218 years, the Third Buddhist Council was held in order to purify Sasana. And some of the monks who were not having proper right views were dropped out from Sasana. And re-establishment was taken place, and then Third Buddhist Council was held. 1,000 Arahants participated in, and 9 countries were, the Dhamma was spread to 9 countries, including Sri Lanka, and we got Supreme Buddha's teachings because of that. So dawn of Dhamma, especially the light arose in Sri Lanka due to the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thero. If Arahat Mahinda Thero did not come to Sri Lanka, still the darkness is there in our country. Fortunately, Arahat Mahinda Thero arrived in Sri Lanka, and later on we could achieve various specific sacred things. And we know especially King Kamani Abhaya erected Swarnamali Mahasaya Rajanan Vahanse, Ruangwali Mahasaya, the great pagoda, enshrining Dronayak, that means very big amount of relics enshrined in there. So we got that. And also King Devanampiyatissa erected Thuparame, and also other kings erected various pagodas, and King Theri Sangamitta brought the right sapling of the Srima Bodhi, and it was planted in Mahamevuna Uyana in Udamaluwa. So it's still there. So all these things, and later on our Supreme Buddha's tooth relics were brought to Sri Lanka, and all these things were, all these things took place due to the arrival of or advent of Buddhism to Sri Lanka. So those are dowries, special dowries. And what is the greatest dowry that we got due to the advent of Arahat Mahinda Thero? That is triple gem. So we can remember the very first day Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered a Dhamma sermon that is called Chulla Hatti Padopama discourse. The simile of the the discourse on the simile of the elephant footprint, the little discourse on the simile of the elephant footprint, Chulla Hatti Padopama discourse. When this discourse was heard, King Devanampiyatissa and 40,000 retinue took refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. So that was a historical incident in Sri Lanka. Especially because of that, the king, the ruler of the country, became a kind of Buddhist with following Triple Gem. And later on, Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered various important discourses. Very first day, at night, Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered the Dhamma sermon, preached what is called Samachitta Pariyaya discourse to the gods, divine beings, and they attain various fruits, Magapala, and thousands trillions of divine beings attain Nibbana due to that, listening to that discourse. And later on, next day, the following day, Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered another Dhamma sermons to Queen Anula, Vimanavattu, Petavattu. They attained first stage of sainthood, and they wanted to be nuns. And later on, with the arrival of Arahat Sangamitta Theri, they could become nuns. And also, that very first day, second day, Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered another very important discourse, divine messengers, discourse on divine messengers, Devaduta discourse, which includes about the information regarding hell, because he delivered that Dhamma sermon to our people to know about the danger of the hell, because we have been born in hell in our previous lives. So what Arahat Mahinda Thero wanted to do is not to be born, not to go there once again, our human beings. He wanted to warn us, if you do bad things, you have to be born in this dangerous plane, purgatory, that is hell. Therefore, he with sympathy delivered this Dhamma sermon. And then Bala Pandita discourse, what is called the fool and the wise. So that discourse also was delivered. And later on, Arahat Mahinda Thero delivered gradually various other discourses like Aggi Kandopama discourse. That means simile, a discourse on the simile of the fire. Asi Visopama discourse. That means a discourse on the simile of the poisonous things, Asi Visopama, of the serpents. Then Gome Pindupama discourse, the discourse on the simile of the cow dung, and Kajjaniya discourse, that is regarding the form and all that. Then Anamatagga Sanyutta, that was regarding how we have been roaming in the sansara, various discourses in Sanyutta Nikaya, and Satya Sanyutta regarding the Four Noble Truths, and also Dhammacakkappavattana discourse, that means the first discourse delivered by the Supreme Buddha. Like that, Arahat Mahinda Thero, within the first part of the first half of his mission, delivered these special discourses for Sri Lankans and especially divine beings, and majority of them attain Magga and Phala, path and fruits. Some have attained first stage of sainthood, some have attained second stage of sainthood, some have attained third stage of sainthood, some have attained arahantship. So he did like that. And later on, Arahat Mahinda Thera marked various special places where the especially erection of Mahadagaba, that means Mahasaya, that place, and where Srima Bodhi is going to be planted, and where especially Tuparame is erected. Like that, various special places were marked. And also Simava, what is called Simava, in the sense Vinaya, for the establishments of especially conduct of Pohoya, or conduct of various Vinaya activities were in order to be done. That area is called that Simava. It was marked by the king with the advice of Arahat Mahinda Thero, and then the establishment of Buddhism in Sri Lanka took place. So like that way, Arahat Mahinda Thero instructed King Devanam Piyatissa to make this country a Buddhist country. So especially our culture became Buddhist. Culture was nourished by Buddhism, and our arts, crafts, and thinking pattern, education system, and everything was nourished by Buddhism, and ruling system was nourished by Buddhism. And like that way, in every aspect, the major theme is Buddhism, the teachings of the Buddha. The light of Buddhism is spread every nook and corner of the country. So that is how we got this pristine fury, Dhamma to our country. Therefore, but when it comes to the latter part of the latter part, we can understand various invasions took place, especially from India. Because of that Kalinga Maga's invasion, it demolished our thinking pattern of the Buddhist way of life, and astrological influences, and various Hinduistic attitudes and thinking patterns, and various belief systems were dominant now in our society due to these advents, especially due to these invasions. And later on in 1505, Portuguese, and 1657 Dutch, and 1815 English, they invaded us, and due to that that pure pristine purity, that system was demolished and declined. Now that mixture is there. The people do not have kind of belief or what is called Shraddha in Triple Gem. They follow various other beliefs, and especially wrong views. Now But Buddha says, Yekechi buddhan saranang gatase nate gamissanti apayang. If one takes refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly, he will never go to hell. So that kind of system was established in our country by Arahat Mahinda Thero. Unfortunately, that has now declined. That has declined. Therefore, what we have to do is to, in this Posan Poya day, in this era, what we have to do is to take refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly once again. We have to recollect 9 qualities of the Supreme Buddha, 6 qualities of the sublime Dhamma, 9 qualities of the noble Sangha, and we have to remember always these 24 qualities and take refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly. And we have to always commemorate these great characters as I mentioned, Arahat Moggali Puttatissa Thera and Arahat Mahinda Thera, Emperor Asoka, King Devanapiyatissa, who took various efforts in order to spread Buddhism to Sri Lanka especially and other countries in general. Therefore, Buddhism is available in the world due to mainly these 4 characters. So daily we have to respect and especially we have to venerate Arahat Mahinda Thero, Arahat Moggali Puttatissa Thero. And later on these 2 kings could attain, these 2 kings also could attain Nibbana. Almost all the characters participated in this great attempt could be able to attain Nibbana according to our history. So therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, our salvation, our emancipation is there if we take refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly. If we follow wrong views, wrong attitudes, wrong belief systems, wrong methodologies, we will be unable to cross this dangerous samsara. We can cross this dangerous samsara by following triple gem. Therefore, on this Posan Poya day, you determine to take refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly and do merits, accumulate merits as much as possible. Therefore, with the blessings of the triple gem, may you be able to take refuge in the triple gem wholeheartedly, accumulate merits as much as possible, and cross this dangerous samsaric life as soon as possible within the regime of Gautama Buddha Sasana. May the noble triple gem bless with you all. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu buddha sasanang. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu buddha desanang. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu tang sada. May you all be well and happy.